Good morning. It's a beautiful morning in Texas, and today we are going to replace our PCV valve in our 2005 GX470. So what is a PCV valve? Well, positive crankcase ventilation. Why do we want to replace it? Well, if you shake it, it's got a little one-way valve in there, very simple valve. But the idea behind this guy is that at the top of your engine, you've got gases that do get by the combustion process and get to the wrong side, up into the top of the crankcase. They don't necessarily all stay in the combustion chamber. And those that get by, they produce a positive pressure, but they have gasoline vapors, burn vapors, and things that we don't want. And if we don't get rid of them, they mix in the oil and they contaminate our oil. And we also don't want to vent them to atmosphere because it's bad for the environment, bad for emissions. So the PCV valve is part of our emissions process, but it's good for our car to have this maintained because it keeps our oil clean. It keeps the oil from getting contaminated with products that that blow by. So if it gets clogged and stops working, those vapors just build up in the crankcase and dissolve into the oil. And so it shortens our lifespan and makes the oil not as good. And because this is venting those vapors, in time it gets junked up and stops working. And so you can certainly take it off and check it and clean it. I bought mine, genuine Lexus, Toyota OEM off eBay. It wasn't that expensive. I'm just going to replace mine. And so today we're going to go through that. So this is a general maintenance item. I'm at $175,000. I don't think it's ever been replaced. So it's a good time to go ahead and just swap it out. It's a pretty easy swap. So we'll go through that. All right, so where is it? This hose right here is the valve, right? And this assembly right here, this foam, is where the valve is. So we're just gonna undo this clip. We're gonna take this foam off. It'll be real easy to get to. Be very careful. I'm pretty sure this is where I broke the PCV vent hose. More details at the end. All right, so I just pulled this. You can just squeeze this spring, and I pulled it a little further up, and then just gently pulled it off of here. It's pretty solid, so be careful that you don't crack it. It does rotate, so that's handy. And so I've just moved it out of the way. So now we just need to take this foam off. And there we go. This is our PCV valve. There's our new one. So now we're just going to take it off. All right, it's going to be a 22 that fits on there. So we're just going to break that guy loose. Maybe we'll actually slip the box end over so we get more grip. I'm not going to strip anything out. There we go. Mine still works. You can shake it, you can hear it moving. If it doesn't move, when I was a kid, when we did this, we'd spray it out with carb cleaner, clean it out. I suppose you can. So you can check yours. Still shakes, you're probably in good shape. But for me, it's such an easy, this is kind of a maintenance item for me. And I'm getting up high enough that it's time to go ahead and put one in, so I don't have to worry about it getting junked up and hurting my engine. So now we'll just screw the next one back in. And for the sake of completeness, I'm not exactly sure what that says. Almost looks like Aaron, but that's the OEM. So we'll screw it in, reconnect it, and we'll be done. Got it screwed down. Comes with its own thread sealant, so we don't have to do anything there. Got our foam piece reinstalled. Now I can rotate this guy down and reinstall our hose, and we'll be done. There we go, all installed. I think maybe less than 10 minutes of work. Easy item. If you got a higher mileage GX, then I would recommend doing this. It'll help preserve your engine a little bit longer. And it's an easy, quick thing to do, and I don't think it was very expensive to buy the part. Less than 20 bucks. update. So you can see in this picture where I broke this hard line, and the following is how I dealt with that. Hopefully you don't have to deal with this. You're more careful than I was, but here's how we handle it. Be very careful when you're taking this hose off of the PCV valve. I cracked mine. So now, here's the other piece I took off. So it's a hard plastic line in there. So I ordered a new one from Lexus, so it'll be here in a few days. It was a $20 part. In the meantime, I'm gonna put a vacuum hose on there. I'm gonna run up to the parts store and put a vacuum line on there, and that'll get us back in action. FYI, the result of any vacuum leak, and this created a giant one, is a lean idle condition. It made the idle really rough. It had way too much air sucking into the intake. This creates a vacuum into the intake. That's its whole purpose, is to suck the fumes out of the crankcase. And so with it uncontrolled, it's sucking in way too much air, and it causes a lot of problems for the ECU. So be careful when you're taking this off. Don't do what I did. But if you do, I'll show you how to fix it. So I went down to my local O'Reilly's, got me some Prestone crankcase vent hose. That's the right size. And so I'm gonna cut it to size, and we're gonna connect it between here and here, and that'll be that. If we were really in a jam, you could plug this up and get by. So the issue is that this guy has suction coming to the intake, and so it's getting too much air. So worst case scenario, if you ever have a vacuum leak, you can plug wherever that vacuum leak is up and get by, right? But we're gonna go ahead and connect this in the meantime until the real part gets here. All right, so this hose is just a little bit too big. So I'm taking you guys back to the old school. So in the meantime, we're gonna put just a couple of wraps of duct tape to give us a little more diameter on this guy, and then we'll hose clamp it down. So I've already done the same here. Started with a little bit more, and then I just would peel some back off until I got back down to a diameter where it slipped on fairly snug. We're gonna do the same here. Here we go. Did about 3 wraps of duct tape on there, just tear it down to the right width. Now we'll just clamp this guy down. And we should have our nice ghetto repair until our actual piece gets here. There we go. Tight, but not too tight. We don't want to break anything. We just want to get him nice and snug. I did bend this guy up out of the way a little bit, just so he doesn't hurt anything. Again, this is a temporary fix until I get the real part here. I don't intend to leave it like this. All right, as a final ending segment, this works great. I had driven mine, so I did have to clear the codes out with Toyota touchscreen. But if you don't turn your car on when you realize that you've broken it, you won't have that problem. Happy fixing.